Ingredients that make up Ukrainian Canadian music, I think, is a marriage of the contemporary style with the flair of the old country.
Ой, у лузі калина, ой, у лузі калина, 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 чубарики, чубчики, калина, 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 чубарики, чубчики.
I often tell people that Ukrainian Canadian music is kind of a combination of the types of music that the early immigrants to Canada from Ukraine brought with them, and then over the time that they've been in Canada, all the different kind of influences from mainstream North American music that kind of seep their way into them.
Being here, we've kind of created our own modernized version of our grandparents' Ukrainian music. So I'd say it feels old worldly with a modern twist is Ukrainian Canadian music.
Celebrating your culture and celebrating that all of us are in this together, and we're all here to just be proud of being Ukrainian.
Its core material is still that old-time village music that came, to Canada more than 100 years ago. In Ukrainian village music, violin was usually always the main instrument, and that continued for a very long time in Canada as well. Initially, you would have had small groups with just the violin, the tsimbale, like the hammered dulcimer kind of instrument, some kind of a drum, and maybe like a whistle of some sort, but not too much else. But then as people got more established here in North America, you had things like sometimes that tsimbale was replaced with a banjo, or the violins replaced with a saxophone. So like in the 1960s, people started taking North American pop music or country music and writing Ukrainian lyrics for it. And then started coming up with their own songs that they were making up that talked about Ukrainian Canadian life, like what it's like to live on a farm in Canada, which is nothing at all like living on a farm in Ukraine. Problems with my tractor or whatever, that kind of stuff.
I went to Baba's house to shovel off her roof. It snowed 3 feet last night. It's filling up my boots.
I recorded a song called Pitahem Borscht, which was a parody of Jingle Bells.
Pitahem, Pitahem, Pitahem Borscht. All through Baba's door. Hey!
People just loved it because it was so real, right? Like that's exactly the story of going to my Baba and Guido's house. I actually had to shovel off their roof and ended up going inside and probably being about 15 pounds heavier when I left.
I can't eat no more.
I love the language too. I don't know a ton of it, but what I do know, I just think it sounds really nice.
Music sometimes is a way to connect people that maybe are disconnected on other levels. So people might not understand the words of a song anymore because they don't speak the language, but they still identify with the sound of that music. And sometimes it's just the pulse or the energy that comes from that, and they remember like dancing to that when they were younger or hearing something like that in the past. Sometimes people just like to have something that's makes them feel unique. So, you can say this is our music and it's different from everybody else's music, and so we're proud of that fact.
When we play for an audience, I hope that they take away the joy of Ukrainian music, because that's what it brings me. It's a connection to my culture, it's a connection to my childhood, it's a connection to my heritage, my grandparents. Like it's all very interwoven like a blanket.
It gives you a sense of belonging almost. Like I am Ukrainian, like that is who I am, right? And it's just one of those things where I can really showcase that side of me when I'm performing and doing things like this.
If you were listening to only the music of your culture, but the way that it's produced in the country that your culture comes from, then you're hearing something that's removed from the reality of your life in Canada. It's kind of like what your life was like in your home country of origin. But, Ukrainians took their music from their home country and combined it with their experiences here in Canada, and it created something that was unique.